The title of this video is 4 Keys to Having a Successful Private Practice, an homage to Thomas Coleman. When I began practice, I was a deputy district attorney in Contra Costa County, and I sure knew how to cross-examine a witness and how to hold myself in court. And Pat Herron, who was the presiding judge in Contra Costa County, knew that I had applications into multiple firms in Los Angeles and said some very nice things, obviously, because she asked me where I wanted to work, and I gave her 3 firms, and I had offers waiting for me when I got home. And I went to work for Morgan, Lewis and Bockius, Los Angeles, and I had the privilege of working with one of the finest attorneys anyone could ever be mentored by, and that's Thomas Coleman. And Tom is a very elegant and well-spoken attorney, now retired. And Tom knew that I had been in the DA's office and wanted to mentor me. And there were 4 things that he told me and taught me that have stayed with me in the 38 years since I walked into that elevator and went up to Morgan, Lewis and Bockius for my first day of work. The first thing he said was, do you have a family? And I said, well, I have a wife. He said, great, bring a picture in. I said, okay. He says, there's something I want to talk to you about. So the next day, Tom walked into my office and he said, oh, is that your wife? I said, yes. He said, I want you to remember a lesson as you practice law. And that is, every time somebody comes to you and says, I don't want to pay you, or I want to pay you half, or I want to pay you 10%, I want you to look at your family, and I want you to remember that you have bills to pay too, and that you owe it to your family to collect your debts. The second thing that Tom taught me was how to proofread. And he brought me a ruler, and he told me to read this 35-page document backwards, line by line, with a ruler. He also taught me to proofread until all the typos were out, and to proofread starting in the middle of the document so you don't get tired and miss words on the page. He told me that you find more errors if you actually read something on a printed page than if you proofread on a screen, that it had been proven. The reason that that was so important is that, having been a clerk for Cecil Poole on the Ninth Circuit, that when you're a judge or you're a law clerk and you see typographical errors, that tells you that the attorney that is writing is not careful, and it undercuts the credibility and the trust that you have in that attorney. The third thing that Tom Coleman taught me was to have the most methodical and organized files of any attorney possible. And every time something got filed, we had it filed neatly and organized and indexed and cross-indexed in the most methodical way possible. Now, back then, that was really before modern scanning and filing. But in this office, we have the most methodical filing system that there is. We scan every document that comes in, and we can bring that up. We also have Slack, so we can all communicate. So if we have a deposition and somebody refers to a letter, we instantly have the ability to bring that document up, put it on Slack, and discuss the document, whether it's at trial or whether it's at deposition. And in fact, if your attorney does not have a scan system and an ability to bring up every document for every deposition and every trial simultaneously, they're not following best practices. And as Tom taught me, the most organized and methodical attorneys win most of the time. The fourth thing that Tom taught me was that when you go into court or when you go into a meeting, you want to be the most elegant and well-spoken person there. And Tom always wore uh, beautiful suits. Today, I'm wearing Armani collection. And to have credibility, you want to look good, you want to speak methodically and carefully. And the other side is going to be very worried when their own client looks at you and they're like, that attorney is presenting in a way that's a lot better than my attorney. Tom emphasized that you want to be the most dignified person in the room, but carry a big stick. Thank you, Tom, for setting me forth in my path in private practice and for all the kindnesses that you showed me.